The hospital lobby smelled faintly of antiseptic and polished marble, a place where lives changed in silence. A janitor stood near the entrance, quietly mopping the floor as rainwater trailed in from outside. His worn shoes left faint prints behind him, blending with the streaks he was trying so hard to clean. Then the glass doors burst open. A woman in a sharp white coat stormed in, her heels striking the floor like judgment itself. She stopped. Looked at him. And in that moment, everything shifted. "Can you move? You're making this place look like a mess." Her voice was cold. Sharp. Final. The janitor slowly lifted his eyes, but said nothing. And that silence would soon change her life forever. Dr. Emily Carter was known across the city as one of the most brilliant surgeons in the hospital. Her reputation was flawless: precision, discipline, excellence. Patients trusted her hands with their lives. But behind that polished image was a woman who had built walls around herself. Her days were filled with urgency. Her nights, with exhaustion. And somewhere along the way, compassion had slowly been replaced with control. To her, everything had a place. Everything had a standard. And right now, standing in front of her, was something that didn't fit. The janitor. His name was Daniel. His uniform was faded, slightly oversized, with faint stains that never fully washed out. His hands were rough, his posture humble, his presence almost invisible. But his eyes. They carried something unusual. Not sadness. Not defeat. But a quiet kind of strength. The kind you only get from surviving storms no one else sees. Emily frowned, stepping back slightly to avoid the wet floor. "Seriously," she said, adjusting her coat. "You people should at least know when to clean and when not to. This is a hospital, not a street." Daniel paused his mop. He glanced at the floor, then at her shoes, still dripping with rain. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "It's just, the rain keeps coming in." Emily let out a short laugh. "Excuses don't make things cleaner." Her words weren't loud. But they were heavy. Nearby, a few patients and nurses glanced over. Some looked uncomfortable. Others simply looked away. Daniel nodded quietly. "I'll finish quickly," he said. But Emily wasn't done. She stepped closer, her voice dropping lower. "You know, this lobby is the first thing people see. It represents this hospital. People like you should understand that. People like you." The words lingered in the air. Daniel's grip on the mop tightened slightly, but his face remained calm. "I understand," he replied. But something in his tone was different. Not defensive. Not submissive. Just knowing. And that unsettled her more than she expected. Later that day, the hospital was in chaos. An emergency case had just arrived, a critical patient needing immediate surgery. The staff rushed through corridors, voices overlapping, urgency filling every corner. Emily was called in. As she walked briskly toward the operating room, she noticed something strange. The hallway floor was spotless. Every corner. Every reflection. Perfect. And at the far end, Daniel stood quietly, placing a caution sign down before stepping aside. Their eyes met again. For a brief moment, something unspoken passed between them. Then Emily walked past him without a word. Inside the operating room, the tension was suffocating. The patient's condition was worsening. Time was slipping. Emily took a deep breath. "Let's begin." Hours passed. Sweat gathered at her temples. Her hands moved with precision, but something felt off. A small complication. Then another. The room grew tense. A nurse whispered, "Doctor, we're losing him." Emily's heart raced. This wasn't supposed to happen. She was in control. She was always in control. But today, something was different. After what felt like an eternity, the surgery ended. The patient was stable, but barely. Emily stepped out, exhausted. Her hands trembled slightly. For the first time in a long time, doubt crept in. She walked back toward the lobby, needing air, needing space. And there he was again. Daniel. Sitting quietly on a bench, holding a small lunch container. He looked up as she approached. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, unexpectedly. "You did your best," he said. Emily blinked. "What?" He gestured gently toward her hands. "They're shaking," he added. "That only happens when someone cares." She stared at him, confused. "How would you know anything about that?" Daniel smiled faintly. "Because I've seen it before." Something about his calmness irritated her. "You don't know me," she said sharply. "No," he replied. "But I see people." That answer lingered longer than she expected. Over the next few days, something strange began to happen. Everywhere Emily went, she noticed Daniel. Not in a way that felt intrusive. But in moments. Quiet ones. He helped an elderly patient find her way. He stayed late to clean a room no one had asked him to. He gently fixed a broken chair in the waiting area. No one applauded him. No one noticed. Except her. And slowly, her perspective began to shift. But her pride still stood strong. One afternoon, a senior administrator announced a surprise inspection. The hospital needed to be flawless. Every department was on edge. Emily was preparing reports when she overheard a conversation. "They're sending someone important," a nurse whispered. "Someone from the board." "Who?" another asked. "No one knows. It's confidential." Emily felt a surge of determination. This was her chance to prove, once again, that she was the best. Everything had to be perfect. But perfection sometimes hides the truth. And the truth was about to walk through those doors. The day of the inspection arrived. The hospital was spotless. Staff stood straighter. Smiles were rehearsed. Every detail was controlled. Emily waited near the lobby, ready to greet the inspector. The doors opened. Everyone turned. And in walked Daniel. But he wasn't in his janitor uniform. He wore a tailored suit. Clean. Sharp. Confident. The entire room fell silent. Emily's breath caught. "What is this?" she whispered. The administrator stepped forward, smiling. "Dr. Carter, meet Mr. Daniel Reeves, major donor, board member, and the man responsible for funding this entire hospital wing." The words hit like thunder. Emily's mind raced. The mop. The uniform. The quiet presence. It all shattered. Daniel looked at her, his expression unchanged. "I like to see how things really are," he said calmly. "Not just what people show." Emily felt her chest tighten. Every word she had said. Every look. Every judgment. It all came rushing back. I didn't know," she stammered. Daniel nodded. "I know." And somehow, that was worse. Later that evening, the hospital returned to its usual rhythm. The tension faded. But Emily couldn't. She found Daniel standing near the same spot where it had all begun. The floor was clean. The air was quiet. "I owe you an apology," she said softly. Daniel turned. "For what?" "For seeing you, and not really seeing you." There was a long pause. Then he smiled gently. "You're not the first," he said. "And you won't be the last." She swallowed. But I want to be better. Daniel studied her for a moment. Then he nodded. That's a good place to start. As he walked away, Emily stood there, feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Humility. Not forced. Not painful. But real. And in that moment, she understood something she had missed her entire life. Status doesn't define worth. Kindness does. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more stories of kindness. And if you've ever experienced a moment like this, share it in the comments. Your words might inspire someone else.